What up, my boo-boo patooties? How is everyone? I'm good. I just got in from work. It's Wednesday night. We're here for our midweek discussion on our ever-unfolding soul journey. So this is going to be a talk on our cards that we pulled today from Instagram. If you don't follow me already, you can find me there at Liz_Taylor_Magick. And you can see that I put our posts there on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, like midday-ish. Yeah, and you can see them there and get a head start. And then we come here and we talk about them in more detail and more layers here at night. So Mondays we do an anchor message for the week. It gives us Sunday nights we do our energy oracle forecast. It gives us the energetic and spiritual conditions for the week, the weather, if you will. On Mondays we have our anchor message, and that kind of gives us our soul assignments for the week. And we pull from the wild unknown archetypes and clarify with tarot. So on Wednesdays, we have started to pull from the Wild Unknown Alchemy, which is great because it hones in on how to handle the lessons, right? Alchemy, spiritual alchemy, is all about the process. It's about turning your lead into gold. And so on Wednesdays, it's really nice to just hone in on how we're, approaching these lessons that have been given to us through the week. So our energy and our anchor message for the week set us up to sort of like launch us out onto a new beginning. It was like a hero's call to adventure once more. And the soul is like kind of like urging us on to into this new beginning, right? Into this next adventure, into this new cycle of experiences and lessons and expansion and evolution. So this goes deeper into that. And so I'm going to actually read the alchemy cards from the book first, and then we'll unpack and we'll talk more in detail. But yeah, so before we start, I'm just going to take you through the cards. We got Saturn. And Saturn is going back into retrograde in Saturn is going retrograde back into Pisces, maybe? I can't remember. There's some activity is happening with Saturn. It's been going back and forth. So there's some movement with Saturn happening. It's either coming up or we're right in the midst of it. And so it's not surprising that the Saturn card was activated, followed by Raven's Head, followed by Nebula, or Fog. And then underneath Saturn, we got Four of Wands. Underneath Raven's Head, we got Five of Wands. And underneath Nebula, we got Eight of Pentacles. So let us start with Saturn, and we will read that. Okay. Saturn, structure, authority, consequences. Saturn is known as the great ruler, the author. Oh, hold on. It had a dash. I can't read. Okay, Saturn is known as the great ruler, the authoritative father, and the structuring force. Limitations, rules, logistics, and laws all fall under Saturn's claim, and they insist on our adherence. Saturn constricts. It corrects. It governs. The force of this planet is mind-bogglingly frustrating, especially for creative types, as it can feel like one limitation after another. Yet its ability to support is unmatched. No creative project can come to be without the Saturnian qualities of commitment, endurance, and steadiness. The tick of the clock reminds us of this planet's steadfast presence, eternally measuring. It's no surprise it's associated with the metal lead and the qualities of density and weight. To embrace Saturn is to embrace the foundation and become one's own central authority. It's not as dull or easy as it sounds. That's Saturn's secret. To go deeper, read the poem The Core of Masculinity by Rumi. To ponder silence as power. Ironically, and to the amusement of anarchists everywhere, the authoritarian energy of Saturn is said to reside in the middle finger. Which is weird because I was born with Saturn in retrograde. I've always had, Saturn's influence over me has been very strict in my life. Nothing has come easily. Everything has been 10 times as hard and as arduous as it needs to be. And it's so funny because I always end up wanting to wear rings on my middle finger. And somebody pointed that out once, and I wonder if it has aggravated even more of Saturn's discipline over me. But I don't know, maybe someday me and Saturn will become better friends. I think that we are becoming closer. To embrace Saturn is to embrace the foundation and become one's own central authority. Oh, yes. Okay. So, middle finger. And then Saturn is deeply related to time and chronology. It is linked to the Greek god Kronos and to Father Time. Consider your relationship with the clock today. And above all, don't be late. Interesting. Yes. So when you have your Saturn return, which happens to everyone between the ages of 28 and 30, Saturn comes back to where it was when you were born. And usually what it does is it shakes you to the core of your being. It brings on a divine storm into your life, and it makes sudden and drastic and change that is the kind of change where there's no turning back. It shakes away anything that is not in your truest authenticity. It makes you question and shakes the foundation under anything that is not going to be long-standing or long-term or is not really on your life path. And it shows you the structural flaws and weaknesses in your life, where you need to work on, where you need to tighten up. And this storm is going to be in relation to how much discipline you need. So for some people, this is a very extreme experience. I know it was for me. I had a relationship of 4 or 5 years. I think it was 4 years in. We had lived together. We had a business together. I lost the home that we shared together. So we moved away. I lost the business that we had started together because there was nothing illegal or official that made me officially, legally a part of it. It was just honor system that I was there building it, with the person. My best friends at the time moved across country. They were also our best clients. We had this whole dreamy life of working together and having fun. We had a studio that we would go make short films in and do photo shoots in whenever we wanted. I mean, it was like my dream life, essentially. And it all got taken away. And then at the same time, my best friend was killed in an accident at the time. So I had to move home to sort of reestablish myself again. I didn't have anything that I had. And my best friends were gone. My lifestyle was gone. My best friend literally had died. My business, everything that I had built, everything that I had put my blood, sweat, and tears into. And I thought that this was my dream. I thought this was it. It was not it. It was just gone as fast as, you can snap your fingers. And it was very difficult. And it took a couple of years to pull myself back together again. And so now I think that because we've come out of this huge ending of this, the whole first half of our life kind of cycle, all of that has culminated. And so now we're in this like fork in the road where we get to have a do-over. We get to have like a timeline jump to become a new person and to have a new life, right? A real chance to up level and embody that up level, like in the outer world, in our physical world, the way we experience life and the way we experience life on the inside. But it's going to take us starting off on the right foot and going by the book. And so like we've just recently kind of started into this new cycle. So it's like we've been invited even just this week on a new hero's journey. And right as we set out, it's like, okay, Saturn's like, all right, like it's time to put all the lessons that we've been learning into practice. This is when the rubber meets the road. This is not a dress rehearsal anymore. This is life. So, it's time to show up the way that you want to show up in your new life. This is your chance to get to rebuild. This is your chance for a new experience, but you have to do things differently this time. Insanity, the definition of insanity is doing the same things and expecting different results. So Saturn is here to make sure that we are like setting ourselves up and laying like clean, level, solid foundations that are going to hold the weight of the structures that are going to be built upon, and that can hold sound structures, right? Structural integrity. We're going to build upon this. And so it's important that we start off on the right foot. We start off with the right expectations, boundaries, routines with ourselves. What we're putting our energy and our resources and our values into, right? How we're using our time. Are we doing things in an authentic way? Are we doing things half-heartedly or full-heartedly, right? Like we need to just be able to go forward now, slow enough to have the self-mastery of self-control, where we can see that life is going to still present us with similar triggers and similar challenges. But it's just up to us to go slow enough to pause ourselves and be present and feel the trigger and feel the default response and choose to go against it. To choose to say, okay, this is my gut reaction. This is my reactive nature. Is this a positive, spiritually guided impulse to take this action? Or is this me being reactive? Is this me responding to a trigger, right? Is this effect consciousness or cause consciousness? And so we're trying to actually live now in a higher state of consciousness, right? And so it's gonna take some discipline. But yeah, it's up to us right now to create a very healthy relationship with Saturn. Underneath this is the Four of Wands. So it's like Saturn is the disciplinary manager or like teacher here, setting you up to build solid foundations to build upon, right? Four of Wands is like things are coming together with the fours. You're starting to have some security, some stability, some strong foundations, right? So in the Wand suit, Four of Wands is about harmony and happiness and joy. And it's about, actually it's a marriage card. But it's definitely about coming into a period of time that's full of well-being, satisfaction, fulfillment, and joy. And it can portend a marriage happening or the potential of one. So yeah, Saturn, it's talking about if you whatever you're building right now, you're building your future. And so it's important to, try to get outside of your old self, do things differently so that you can build a beautiful situation this time around in this new cycle, this new storyline, this new timeline. It's like, I don't know if you guys have ever heard of quantum jumping. but it's literally like realizing that you can shift your consciousness in any moment. And it's our consciousness that is the seed level of the reality that we're creating. And so if you shift your consciousness, you can shift your reality. Okay. Raven's Head. Initiation, the ordeal, the work begins. Now, we were called into our hero's journey. We even talked about like initiations at the beginning of the week, but this whole year is going to be like ongoing initiations. It's like every month there's something new that we're being initiated. A different part of ourself is coming forward, right? In this rebirth of self. And I guess we all thought it was going to be like this kind of grand moment. And then like the whole year was just going to be like, yay, this whole beginning year, everything's going to start happening. But really this whole beginning year is like us being reborn. And so it's like we're having to take it like one little thing at a time, learning how to eat, learning how to swallow, learning how to take our first steps, learning how to crawl, you know, all of those things. It's like we're learning how to be this new self in this new life. So give yourself patience and compassion. And it's not that we have to get it right or perfect. It's just that we're trying, right? We're doing the best we can. And it doesn't matter if we take 2 steps forward and then 25 steps back, as long as we keep taking those 2 steps forward. Just keep starting over and keep trying again. So initiation, the ordeal, the work begins. Though alchemy is filled with a myriad of open-ended symbols, the Raven's Head has a precise message. It arrives to mark the beginning of the work. This card indicates something has occurred, known or unknown, to initiate the spinning of the alchemical wheel. With its mighty churning, things are about to change on every level. The Raven's work cannot be undone, just as the pill cannot be unswallowed or the pearl turned back to sand. You may be overwhelmed or think the journey ahead is not for you. Your doubts matter. Your doubts matter not to the Raven, as its appearance signifies it has chosen you. Now I notice it says like once the pearl has become, it cannot turn back to sand. I remember at the beginning of the week saying like the desert card came up in the archetype. It's like the only way, there's no way around the desert. The only way is through. It's like, this is the initiation. It's like, it's it's been activated. We've been activated. There's something going on now that has been part of the divine plan that is now in the beginning stages. And it's like, all right, cool, button turned on. The process is now beginning. It's already, like, you can't do anything about it. There's nothing you can do to stop it. Like, it's out of your hands. And it's happening for the unfoldment of your soul. Like, this is part of like the divine plan for your evolution, right? It's the next leg in the journey up the mountain. So, you know, it's don't resist, I guess. The Raven's work cannot be undone, just as the pill cannot be unswallowed or the pearl turned back to sand. You may be overwhelmed or think the journey ahead is not for you. Your doubts matter not to the Raven, as its appearance signifies it has chosen you. You are ready and the moment is now. Can you go back to the way things were? Can you pretend nothing has changed? The Raven calls a clear no. So it's like, can you even pretend like things could go back to the way they were? No. Can you pretend like things haven't changed? No. It does not apologize, as it knows your destiny is great. To go deeper, watch Alfred Hitchcock's movie, The Birds. I love The Birds. I maybe fell asleep to The Birds for every day for 6 months or a year at one point. It's one of my favorites. To ponder, a raven flying at night. As you step into the work, travel light. There's no need for additional baggage, literally or metaphorically. Everything you need awaits within the alchemical laboratory. I'm feeling that hardcore right now. Like, I'm just like feeling a little like almost like cavalier, like let's just start over. And like, no, I mean, I'm not gonna like get rid of my stuff or anything, like I'm not crazy, but like just sort of like, can we just like wipe this, like I'm just really excited about just like a fresh start, just without like, I don't know, I get so tired of my old history just raking through, you know? I mean, like, I'm just, you know, I'm just ready for this rebirth. The raven with its trickster spirit has many symbolic interpretations. It is also linked to the Hierophant card in the tarot. So be on the lookout for a new teacher or mentor, which is interesting because we do have the Eight of Pentacles. Now, the initiation, this raven's head, is crowning the Five of Wands. So the Five of Wands, to me, I usually read it as, because the Wands suit is about your spirit and your drive and your inner passion and fire and your, you know, self-esteem and your sense of faith and spirituality, right? So the wands, Five of Wands, the fives are cards of conflict. And so the Five of Wands can talk about conflicting goals with others. Like if you're working in like an office environment or with a team, like it could talk about like competition. Like if you're, you know, in an industry where there's like competition for, you know, spots on the roster or whatever. I mean, I know like in the restaurant world, you know, we have to, you know, we're working on averages, right? And so there could be, you know, nights where people are trying to pick up and like other people are trying to get cut, and then maybe like all at the same time, if we've been slow, like everybody needs shifts, and so it's like everyone's desires and everyone's needs are kind of conflicting. So it's like part of the initiation right now is learning how to move the parts and pieces of your life that feel like they're conflicting. To me, the deepest part of this, that is really what's coming out, is dealing with inner conflicting desires. In Kabbalah, it talks about like the things that may be blocking something from coming through in your life. There are different reasons that might be happening, but one of those is an inner conflicting desire, which means that beneath your consciousness, something that you're not aware of, is preventing you from getting what your conscious mind wants, right? You have a conscious desire. Say, okay, let's take it. It's, to me, the relationship example is the easiest one to work with in this situation. So say a part of you, like you're single and you're looking for a relationship. And you're like, why am I out there and I want a relationship and I'm looking for one? And, or like even just like being out there open to one, right? So you're not even trying in that way that like pushes the relationship away. It's just like, you're just like, okay, I'm open to a relationship or whatever. So you're dating, and then you're like constantly meeting people, either that you're like, I don't know what it is, but I just don't like them. Or like you get kind of close, but then once you get like too close, it's like, then it's like, there's like self-defeating tendencies that come up, and then you start sabotaging or whatever. You go back into your old triggers, and then you start these self-defeating tendencies come up. And so basically what might be happening is that it's like, why am I screwing up these like possible relationships when I'm looking for a relationship? And it might be because you have an inner conflicting desire that is trying to protect you from being hurt, right? Because maybe part of you has a defense mechanism up and it's afraid to be vulnerable and let someone in. And so even though in your conscious mind, you're like, I want a partner, I want a, you know, a relationship. Maybe underneath, you're still not fully like healed from something that really deeply wounded you, and you're afraid of being hurt that bad again. And so like you have this like subliminal thing that's blocking relationships from going past a certain point, right? Or attracting people in that are emotionally available for what you want because you're really subliminally trying to protect yourself. Same for like a job. For a job, it might be that you want this promotion, right? And you want this new title, but you're not getting it and you don't know why. And maybe you're just kind of like making little mistakes at work that are like preventing you from being like seriously considered. And you're always kind of like shooting yourself in the foot. And it might be because you're afraid of the success. You don't want to lose your, your freedom or your carefree, free time. It's like when there's more responsibility, it usually requires more time, more stress. There's a reason you're getting paid more. It's not for free. Like you're taking on more and you're taking on more responsibility and more stress. So sometimes people think in their mind like, oh yeah, I want that title, I want that job. But really they're not willing to like do what is required to have that. Or they're not willing to make the sacrifices, or they don't want to, or they think that it's going to like take away from their happiness rather than give them more happiness. And so instead of being comfortable with the fact that they're happy in the position that they're in, it's like they feel like they're failing themselves or they're not responsible for wanting to like reach for as far, like have the same amount of ambition as other people. But like it's not really authentic to them, so it's like they're subconsciously self-sabotaging. See what I'm saying? So this week, we may be dealing with or coming into awareness, like our inner conflicting desires that may be holding us back or keeping us blocked or slowed down. Those might be coming into our awareness. There may be an actual situation where, so like say we're in this new cycle and we're trying to do things differently than ever before, and we're being called into a new adventure and a new cycle. It's not going to be too long before we have to start interacting with people, the other people in this world. And a lot of times we need to have confrontation or just direct conversations about things that need to be addressed. And I'm sorry, in these modern times, it's getting very difficult to have those with people. They're either very sensitive and they are like, people are in this cancel culture where they can't hear feedback, or, we're all very defensive, or maybe we're not coming off the way that we need to. And so we might be challenged to have, deal with conflict in a different way than we have before. Like in a more compassionate and a more merciful way, or a more gentler, or like just a different way than we have, from a different space of consciousness, right? From a more healed place. And it's not just confrontation, like it's not like only conflict, but it's just being able to like deal with people and interact with people and in a way that doesn't lead to conflict and chaos, right? Just being able to diplomatically work with people and communicate and interact and work together for a common goal, to find the common ground, right? Instead of fighting. Instead of continuing the conflict and tit for tat, it's right. It's like, how can we find unity? That's the initiation. And so Nebula, let's read Nebula. Okay, disorientation, a funk, a lull. When fog is present, nothing is clear. Not even the problem. It's hard to orient oneself or to know where you're headed. A distinctly damp mood blankets the laboratory. Fog can be surprisingly pleasant as a counter to drama, and therefore it can lull us to sleep for long periods of time. With its cooling nature, fog is a natural balm for pain and trauma. Yet this state cannot sustain us, for we long to see the horizon and our surroundings. There are two solutions. The first is heat. Think sweating, desire, confrontation, passion, creativity. Now, it seems to me that part of this initiation, part of this Saturn energy, is the heat, it's the pressure. There may be like, some passion involved or whatever, but there's got to be some kind of catalyst that gets these sparks going in this cloud of creation, right? To burn off some of this wet. So we need a little fire, we need a little passion, a little heat, excitement, something to catalyze us, right? As an artist, we feel so restricted by like that Saturn energy, like the discipline, the structure, the routine. We want freedom. We want to, be bohemian. But it's actually the more that I have a structure and a routine and discipline that I'm actually free as a creative, because my mind is free and my heart is free, because I'm doing what I need to for my craft and getting out what I need to out of myself every day and showing up and doing the work that creates the art. Otherwise, without structure, without discipline, you just have a bunch of ideas. You have a lot of artistic frustration. You're like, I don't know what to work on. You can be spinning out of control. So you can find a lot of freedom within discipline, within structure, within devotion and commitment. So it's where things are created, right? The nebula is a fog. It's a womb of creation, but it was the cooling process that came from cataclysmic explosions. Let's see. Yes, so think, let's see, there are two solutions. The first is heat. So think sweating, desire, confrontation, passion, creativity. If that's too edgy, the second is inevitable solution is time. As they say, the morning fog burns off by noon. The sun will be seen again. The sun will be seen again. The sun will be seen again. How much time you spend in the fog is yet to be determined. To go deeper, listen to A Foggy Day performed by Ella Fitzgerald and Louis Armstrong. To ponder, The Cooling Wind. Oh no, sorry. To ponder, Cooling the Mind. The automatic response of I'm fine is fog personified. Like, oh, I'm fine. Okay, wait. The automatic response of I'm fine is fog personified into speech. Notice when you're saying it. See if it's possible to allow a little color and clarity in. When the fog is thick, reach out to a dear friend or mentor. It's important to get oriented and to feel seen. When you're within the alchemical stew. Oh, I'm sorry. Sometimes I cannot read when I'm reading out loud in a trance with the cards. When the fog is thick, reach out to a dear friend or mentor. It's important to get oriented and to feel seen when you're within the alchemical stew. So yes, if you're in that stew, if you're in that fog, you can reach out to a mentor, you can reach out to a friend, but it is very cathartic to feel seen. You can reach out to me and book a reading if you'd like. I can do them via Zoom. If you're in the Nashville area, then you can do one in person. And the best way to reach me for that is to DM me on Instagram at Liz_Taylor_Magick. The link is in the description box below if you want to do that. But yeah, we can do a session together if you need a mentor or to talk or a reading, right? That'll kind of give you an idea of the context of your life in this moment and challenges and how to overcome those and where to go from there. Kind of gets you oriented into your soul's calling for the moment, if you will. All right, you guys, and then underneath fog and nebula, this healing, this being with a mentor. There's so many mentor mentions in this reading, but Eight of Pentacles is under this, and so Eight of Pentacles is the card of long-term study or a project that you chip away on little by little over a very long period of time. This is the devoted student. This is the apprentice. This is someone learning a new craft, right? This is when you want to be a tattoo artist and you have to be an apprentice for 2 years and then you get to do a, whatever for a year or whatever. Medical school, right? You have to do your regular college, then you have to do your master's, and then you have to do your medical school, and then you have to go back and do your your residency and clinicals and all that stuff. So this is about, if you're going into, say, a new relationship, that every relationship is a learning experience. And in order to have like a successful relationship, it needs to be with two people that are willing to like do the work just ongoing, like, because relationships just always need to be maintained. And it's not that they're heavy and boring and like, oh, it's always such work, but it's like the kind of work where you make an effort. You make an effort to like grow as a person and, develop on your own and evolve, but you also evolve the relationship and grow together in a parallel direction. And it takes two people that are already sort of like, on the same page and doing the work together. And so that could be starting something and, putting in the effort. It can be starting a business, right? Or putting effort into a side hustle or something that you're learning to do, or even just a hobby that's bringing you a lot of joy or whatever, and it's expanding you in some way. But either way, there's a lot to be learned right now from this next cycle. Something significant is being presented, if not this week, soon. And so we're being prepared to know that, this is where we're putting all the lessons into practice. It's like, okay, we've been rehearsing and now it's showtime. So it's about embodiment of what we've learned and continuing to learn from here. It's sort of like when you have graduated college and then you go and you start a new job, but you still have to like train and learn and become good in the actual real world application. So that is all for tonight. I'm sleepy. I'm gonna eat something, take a shower, go to bed, maybe water the garden. I don't know. The dirt doesn't feel too dry tonight. It's been cool. All right, well, I hope y'all have a good rest of your day. You're probably seeing this on Thursday, so that means that Thursday evening I will be making our weekly romance video, our Thirsty Thursday episode. All right, y'all, be good, but not too good. Ciao.